Well, hello guys, welcome back to another episode on the Conscious Convo. I'm joined again by a great guest that I spoke to last year. John Mcluckie is a level 3 practitioner in Qhht. Spoke to him last year, I think it was, and we just had a great chat. I love chatting to John because he's just easy breezy and I can ask him whatever I want. So watch this space, John.
No, no problem at all.
Okay, what's your favourite colour?
My favorite color, teal.
Teal. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I actually did the Heal Your Life training, so to become a teacher of it and to take workshops. And the lady that took it, oh, she's amazing. Trisha Sharkey here in Australia. She's actually a color therapist, and oh my God, it was amazing. She actually she actually goes to big boards and big CEOs and like big, huge corporate companies. And she doesn't want to know anything about them, but they'll have the board there. And all she wants to know is their three favorite colors and their three least favorite colors. And my God, she just nails them. And she said they don't say anything, but she can read their personality and what they're like. And so she can tell who the boss is, who's the least dominant one, like their whole strategy. And she said, man, they just crack up laughing, and it's all through colors. But so I was so lucky because she went through my website and that, yeah. And I had no idea because, um, but she was looking through my website and but she could tell so much from my personality just from my website, and it was just amazing. Like colors are just it just freaks me out. Yeah, there's definitely something to it.
I love how you answer that because, like, there's always a reason for why you love something. And I was listening to a lady last week about people's favorite colors and what it says about the personality. So, my favorite color is pink, and
Mm.
that's a given. Everybody knows I love pink. My whole website's full of pink. I'm just a pink person, but I also like silver and like glittery things. And I think that definitely represents me because I'm so bubbly and kind
Yeah,
and caring. And I
definitely.
think, but then it's funny you mentioned the ones you don't like. So, I'm not a big green person or like I like green because of nature, but I wouldn't, I love blue, but my eyes are blue. So I'll have to look her up actually. That's a fascinating. And I think it reminds me of auras. I remember went up to Byron Bay, the Crystal Castle, I think it's called, and
Yeah.
they do aura readings there. And
Mm.
that's pretty intense as well, because you've got a lot of your colours that represent you and your aura as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? It's so cool,
Yeah.
this stuff. Mm.
I love how I
So
asked you a
interesting.
simple question and you just make it so fascinating.
It's just telling you the truth, that's all.
Yep, love that. So, a next question I'd love to ask you is when you've had a QHHT session for yourself,
Mhm.
what's your beautiful place?
I don't usually go to a beautiful place. I'm usually just there, like because I'm a professional hypnotherapist. I know that, and I really, really trust myself. It's really the biggest thing is for a client to just trust themselves and know that they're safe and nothing bad can ever happen. So I don't really have a beautiful place. Um, I'm just there. So, for instance, if I was having a QHHT session or any kind of session with you, you'd say, close your eyes, and you'd, you wouldn't even have to say anything. So for me, I'd be like, wow, the first thing that comes to mind is up in space. I can see Earth down there. I feel like Michael's on this side, Uriel's on this side, and we're just looking down, and they're bigger energies than me, and we're just looking down at Earth, and they're not saying anything, but it's really nice to be in their presence. Like it's so simple. People just complicate this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love that because I'm the same as you. So if I go into a session, I'm actually craving a session at the moment because I've only had 2 sessions on myself done. And it's funny because I think the beautiful place is obviously there for clients that need that time to, really
Just
start to see
relax.
things.
Just relax
But
into
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And I'm like you, John, where like if you were to do a session on me, I don't need the beautiful place.
Just
I trust what I see completely, that I would just you'd even skip the cloud for me. I'd be like,
yeah.
where do you want to go? Take me through the door, And I think that comes with trust, like you said, trust and awareness. And for me, it's
Yeah.
just there's no how do I word it? It's trust, but it's more like there's like it's a belief. It's something deep within me that I just think it's like the skepticism in me's gone. Like I don't have that skeptical mind anymore. I
Mm.
like to question things and I like to have an open mind and I like to think, be curious. I love being curious. Like if you've told me about that lady about Qhht therapist, I'll Google her when we stop talking and I'll go
Yeah,
and
she's awesome.
look into her. And I think I'm the same. Like, so it's great how you do that because you're trusting yourself as a hypnotherapist as well, because
That's what it is.
yeah.
You're just trusting yourself. I get quite a few clients that come back, and oh my god, they're just like that. They just take a couple of deep breaths, and man, they're just there. I don't even have to say anything. There's one client where she channels, and I don't have to say anything at all. I just got to hold space, and she knows what to do, and she just goes, "Hello, we're here," and it's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is that's so cool. And I think that's why I've always resonated with you, John, because you are like that. For me, you're inspiring because you are really chilled. And I think I've got that chilled part that I'm very
yeah,
chilled. I'm a chilled person, but I'm also a busybody and I like keeping busy. But for you, you've always inspired me because you are just like nothing. I said, I was talking to my husband a few weeks ago and we said, who would you inspire to be like? And I said Eckhart Tolle because like we watched him in February in Auckland. And my husband said, nothing phases him, does it? I said, I don't think so, not anymore. Like he was told he had cancer 2 years ago and he's on stage and he said, okay. And I feel like you'd be like that, like if you got like devastating news or something happened to you that was, or even like something exciting, like Eckhart said, Oprah called him and said, do you want to come on my show? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, you don't sound excited. He said, well, if I get too excited, it's like you're out of balance. He's like, he just stays in this like connected, balanced, aligned state because he said that he doesn't let himself get too sad or too excited. So you remind me of that, like, and I hope that's a compliment if that makes sense. Like it's
yeah, totally. Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, there's pros and cons to everything because when we get excited, like I still pray, I still, I'm still pretty neutral. So people can't tell because I'm not jumping around like you know, like a little kid. But on the inside, I am like we do get excited, but we bring it back down to a neutral really, really fast. But we don't go down like when we get sad or whatever. So with Eckhart, so we could get news and we'd process it internally. And so with Eckhart, I bet you anything, he would have got a shock with that. He would, like every human being gets a shock, but he would have processed it so fast and he would have dealt with the emotions that were attached to that. And he would have done that and he would have processed it so fast that he would have gone straight into solution mode. He's like, okay, here's a problem. He's not dwelling on the problem. He's actually switched and he's gone, okay, well, this is cancer. So he would have found out all the details about it, what stage he is, where it is, what it is. And I bet you anything you want, he would have a thought process in his head going, well, there's plenty of people that have survived this and got through it. So whereas he's thinking, well, what's the problem? It's just a blip in my life. But he'll be so calm about it. Like like his family and that might be in chaos and freaking out, but he'll just stay true. Yeah. So it's really
I know
interesting.
it's really inspirational listening to him because it's like I thought that like he put he would have had like a quick thought process, and I think that's the key to like self-awareness, isn't it? from like a trigger, so say, someone pisses you off or there's something that annoys you in the day, how long does it take you to recover that thought? Because I think for me, I can feel the ego wanting to just come in so bad to be like offended, victim, how do all those things that the ego wants to, keep you in those heavy, shitty emotions. And I think you can see it, for me, it's shorter and shorter and shorter now. And I remember listening to Wayne Dyer. I know you love Wayne Dyer as well, John. So Wayne was saying that when he was, even in his last talk in Auckland in Australia before he died, he got checked. So he dropped into ego very slightly when he was having a meal. Someone brought out a wrong dish or something, and he just got into an unconscious, like, annoyed at the waiter, and he said he corrected himself. And I said, isn't that the key? Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves to, be perfect and to heal and to be a better person and all this kind of stuff. We are just a human being, and we do have thoughts, and we're complex. We're very complex in our thought patterns and our thought process. But I think that's the key, isn't it? Like Eckhart would have just processed it in his own way.
Yeah.
And it
wouldn't have taken very long.
So it's shortening that span, isn't it? Of where a trigger 5 years ago for me, I would have been sat triggered for like weeks, overplaying it, where that just, it just makes your life heavy, and it really makes you, it is just heavy, icky energy. So where you are today, how long would you say, have you always been that way? Like, because I can imagine you quite chilled growing up, but I'm thinking, like, did you just, the more aware you got and spiritual and connected you got, where would you say kind of the pivotal point for you was?
Probably doing a lot of the healing stuff, a lot of the inner child stuff, like a lot of that. But I was always pretty calm. My parents are very calm people. So I've had an advantage of growing up. So as a child, I've seen how my parents react to things, and they're very calm people. So I've had a huge advantage to that. But everybody still has their trauma and still has their belief systems and things like that. So I've done a lot of work on myself as an adult, not till I was about 40. But I've processed it all and I've released it all. So now it's just maintenance. And maintenance is easy. So maintenance is like Eckhart Tolle is a maintenance. So by maintenance, I mean, like, he had that cancer. I bet you anything you want, he would have got a shock. He probably would have cried because he would have allowed himself to feel those emotions, but he would have allowed it, and he would have just keep feeling them. But because there's not much bottled up in his body, it wouldn't have taken long to process it, and then he's in solution mode. Whereas the more trauma you have in there, the more the body stores in there, well, then the longer it takes. So people have to do a lot of healing on themselves, and they have to do a lot of emotional healing, and which is awesome, yeah. But it's one of those things that's so painful, because that's when people call it the dark night of the soul, and it's horrible at the time. It is hideous. It is the worst of the worst of the worst. But when you get through it, oh my God, it's the best thing that'll ever happen to you.
Do you think you can have like mini dark night of the souls? Because what's interesting is, and I want to get your take on this, I've been through quite a lot of challenging things this year, which my audience know about. I had a miscarriage, I had a housebreaking, I lost both of my father-in-laws in the space of 4 or 5 months. But when we got our dream house, it was just all this like up and down, up and down. And I found myself dropping into victim mode, and I'll happily say that, because I do speak my truth. I was in victim mode. I was a bit like where Neil Donald Walsh was. Like, no, I wouldn't say as extreme as Neil Donald Walsh, because, he was rock bottom. He'd lost his wife, his children, his house, everything. And I said to my husband, because he's same level as me, I said to him, like, I feel like I'm going through something quite similar to what Neil or like Eckhart did when they're like, not rock bottom, but I remember saying I was going to bed one night, and it was when I got back from America a couple of weeks ago, and obviously the housebreaking was kind of like the pivotal, just like, what the hell, what else can go wrong? And I slipped into that, God, do you want to send me anything else? But then I realized that this is part of the process of sometimes we have to go through these really challenging things to then come out the other side. Like, so it was really challenging me and gifting me the opportunity to heal parts of me that, because, you know, we never had a housebreaking as a child, but I know my dad went through something like that. So I was probably carrying his trauma as well from, you know, being a young kid. And I remember there was a guy at our old house when I was younger trying to break into our house. So I think there's just some stuff that was triggered in me with things like that.
Yeah, it's just
And
triggering.
the ultimate phrase I said was, why am I going through such hard, challenging things when I'm such a good, beautiful person? And I was just like fighting with myself for so long. And it was like the universe just nudged me and said, reminding me of like, shit happens to everybody. Life happens to everybody. And the fact is I got through it. I am getting through it.
Mm.
So for me, I felt like it was a mini dark night of the soul, because my husband sat me down. He said, you've just not been yourself the last few weeks. And I said, I just felt so much sadness. I've never felt anger, so I'm not an angry person, because I've always been calm, positive, happy, person. So anger's been a really uncomfortable emotion for me to feel. So my therapist has been helping me to move through anger in a safe space, and that's been
Feel it.
challenging.
Anger's a
But that's
huge
why I
one.
wanted to ask. It is, yeah. And I've been trying to say, like, anger's uncomfortable for people, but I think it's such a powerful, passionate emotion as well. Like the passion I've got from feeling the anger. Like, you think about anger as well, like from your perspective, John, like I'd love to hear about it. If we didn't have
Yeah.
anger, like these things that are going on in the world right now, which are shit that are going on all over the world, if they weren't happening, it wouldn't stir up that anger for someone to do something about it, the passion behind the anger. So if you can give me some
Human,
inspiration about what I've just been through and then see what you think about the anger emotion, I'm really interested.
yeah, cool. Anger, it depends on your childhood. Um, pe- People are scared of anger.
Mm.
That's because, they've seen anger, their dad angry or their mum angry, and they kind of shrink, and they don't want to be there. So then they'll reject it. So then whenever there's an angry situation, they'll kind of cower away from it. But anger, I honestly think that anger is probably the most powerful of all emotions, because a human being will do anything if they're angry enough. But you just got to channel that energy. So, like for me personally, because I was exactly the same as you. Like when I was going through all my thing, all my healing and that, I couldn't find any anger. It just wasn't there. But it was just so deep that because I thought it was bad, so I was rejecting it. But man, like anger is so powerful. Like I'm on an 8-week challenge, like body challenge, and
I
I'm
saw
telling
that,
you,
yeah.
my motivation is getting that anger, and man, I'm just thumping it. So when I'm when I feel like I'm at a breaking point, yeah, I'll just feel that anger and like listen to my music, and man, it pushes me so far. And it's kind of like people will push people until they hit a point. So going to an example of that is with what happened in COVID. What happened in COVID down in Melbourne, like when those tradies, like Dan Andrews, keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing until those tradies bound bound together, and they were so angry that that's when he started pulling back, because he didn't want that anger to turn into rage, because when it turns into rage, there's chaos. So anger is actually, if it's channeled into a good motivational thing, it is so powerful. But it's just perceived as being bad, that's all. But it's energy, it's just energy. It's how you use that energy. Most people have a negative association with anger. Mm. So it's just really interesting. Yeah. And just going back to that victim mode that you said that you're in. Yeah, that's not actually you. That's only a part of you. So that's a huge realization for some people like that. It just means that that part of you is so big that it's kind of taking over the body, and the body's responding to that part of you. Yeah. But it's very easy to deal with. So if you feel like, just do this for me, just close your eyes. All right. Just imagine you can see or visualize or feel or whatever another Pip, and she was in that victim mode. Just imagine her. Right? If you really open up your heart to her, how is she feeling then?
She's angry.
She's angry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What was she angry at?
Well, the Pip I can see is a little girl, and she's angry that she was really sick as a kid. So she had, she was always ill and in the doctors and the hospitals. And I think she was just angry that happened to her.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So who was she angry at in particular?
Herself.
She was angry at herself. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And why was she angry at herself?
Because she was the one that caused the illness, the sickness.
Okay. All right. What do you want to tell her? Okay. Because you're the only one that knows her. You're the only one in the whole world that knows her. Okay. What do you want to tell her about that?
It wasn't her fault, and she was doing her best, and she's so loved by everybody. And she's so loved.
Does she believe you?
Yeah, there's a part of her that does.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just give her a hug, yeah, and promise her that you're telling her the truth, okay? That you'll never ever lie to her, and you're telling her the truth. And how's she feeling now?
Yeah, her shoulders have dropped, and she's like, her body language is different. Like facial expressions have changed. Like her face is like dropped. Like everything's just like she took a big deep breath, big sigh.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And she's in hospital, yeah?
She was.
She was? Okay. Does she want to be there? She doesn't have to be there if she doesn't want to.
No.
Does she want to come with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how does she feel about coming with you?
Like she set herself free.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll give her a big, huge hug and shrink her down and put her right inside your heart there. Okay. And she never has to go back to that hospital ever, ever, ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how does she feel in there?
Safe.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that she wants to say to you? She doesn't have to, but she can if she wants to.
I think she said she's proud of me, like where I've got to and what I've done.
Yeah. And she's been a big part of that, hasn't she? Without her, yeah, it wouldn't have been able to happen. Okay. And you can be proud of her as well.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And she's happy?
Yeah.
Let's tell her if she's happy, then you're happy. Okay. And you can just open your eyes. Yeah. Like, this stuff is so simple. Yeah.
I know.
It's not you that was feeling those emotions. It was her that was feeling those emotions. She was just crying out for help. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you.
I honestly believe the way that I perceive things. I honestly believe that child that you saw is your ego.
Yeah.
That's how I perceive it. The ego is not bad at all.
No. I think it's
so innocent.
You said something really important when you said like you didn't feel anger and then you were gifted opportunities to feel anger. So that's what's happened with me, is that I'm moving through an emotion that obviously is meant for me on my path now, is that I'm moving to become more self-aware and go deeper with my healing. I've just started my master's degree, which is all about trauma and healing, and it's I think that's what's happening, is that I'm going to deeper levels. And I think the universe, God, has given me gifts to feel that anger, because like I said, to say it out loud, to say that I was angry that I had a miscarriage, I was angry that my house was broken into, I was angry that my
That's
husband lost
normal.
both of his fathers within 3 weeks of each other. And I think, and that's okay, and I
Yeah,
validate those
totally.
feelings. But I think it's when you say about that victim mentality, like it just comes in like that little voice, and it's I'm so aware of it. I'm so aware of it. And I said, like, it's like the only person that's stopping me is myself. I'm just stood in my
Yeah.
own way. I just need to get out my own way. And I think that was a big thing. And my husband saw the shift in me because I was doing a lot of work last week on it, and
Yeah.
just said, you can see that, like that little girl, that just the weight lifted off me.
Yeah.
You know.
And you'll feel better. Yeah. So with everything that happened to you, because human beings are emotional creatures, like you actually want to feel those emotions. Yeah. Like don't stuff them in. Like I always say, the most therapeutic thing you can ever do, and not many people can do it, but if you can get into a forest or somewhere that's so quiet and so private and just scream, like scream, but make it a primal scream, like from your guts, like if you can't do that, another healthy way is get a pillow and just scream into the pillow and just like bash it, just hit it, bash it, do whatever you want, because let it come up and let it come out, because
That's
oh
why I
my
like
god, you'll
boxing.
feel so
Boxing's
much better.
great. I love
Boxing
boxing.
is the best. Yeah, boxing is the best. Yeah, it's so healthy for you. Yeah, because it's giving you permission to hit the bag or hit the pads as hard as you can for as long as you can, and it's just so good for you. It's so good for you.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
stoked for
just
you.
took a lot from it. Yeah, I know. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's like when you do the exercise yourself, like what we've just done, I always think it's just so much different when someone else is taking you through it.
Oh, it's so much easier. It's it's so much easier having somebody with me in their ear, knowing exactly what I'm doing. Like, and it doesn't even take that long. If you see someone who's a professional, been doing it for a long time, that can handle anything, it doesn't even take that long.
No.
And another way to do it is to release anger is, so I'll do it energetically. So I'll imagine myself, like an angry part of myself. And if I'm angry at somebody or something, man, I will just imagine that he's in a forest, in a clearing, and I can just see him in my mind's eye, and he is just firing off, like literally firing off, like he's a dragon. And man, he is just letting so much fire out of his mouth, and he's just keep going and going and I'll stay with him until he's let it all out, and then because it might take a minute or 2 minutes, but then eventually the energy's going to run out, and then I'll ask him, "Do you have any more?" Because there might be a second wave to it, and I'll just imagine him just going, and he's screaming, because I can't do it myself, but I can still let that part of me do it in the ethera up there. And it's very safe because I'm just here like this with my eyes closed, just focusing on him. And it only takes like 2 or 3 minutes. But even if I'm really busy, I'll allow him to keep going. And I could have a client for 4 or 5 hours, and I'll go back after that client, and I'll still see him, and if he's still going, I'll be like, keep going, keep going, keep going. But eventually that energy is going to run out, and he's going to feel exhausted after it. And I'll be like, "You feeling better, mate?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm all good." Okay. So I'm allowing that part of me to express it in such a safe way that, but I can't tell him to hurry up. I'm encouraging him to keep going, keep going, and keep going, keep going. And then as soon as he feels better, that energy in my body has gone, it's been released, and I feel amazing. And I'm just sitting here chilling out. People would never know. Like, it's only us that live in our own mind. It's how we control it that counts. Yeah. And same with sadness, you can do it with anything. If there's sadness, just get that part of you that's feeling sad and just let them be sad. Yeah. Just cuddle them and nurture them and just love them and just hold space for that part of you.
Mm.
It's actually so simple.
It is, and it's like I said, we complicate all of it, don't we? We complex humans, we just complicate things that are so simple. I think that's what the message in me is like, I'm trying to overcomplicate something that is very simple, where it's just, I've had a few weeks of feeling a bit angry and that's okay. Yeah. Now it's shifted, and I feel more myself. Because like I said, when anger's coming in, I'm like, oh, that's not Pip. And oh God, because,
you want to reject it.
Friends would say, oh, if Pip is angry, something really shitty's happened because like she's got a long fuse. But I feel like my fuse is short on this year. And I said that to my husband. I was like, I just feel like I'm getting pissed off at things really easy. But I also think that's just part of, and it was my tutor said, that's actually a really healthy thing, because your nervous system, that fight or flight, she actually said something that was really interesting. You've probably been in freeze response for a long time. Because again, I'm a peacemaker. So I'm Libra, and I don't like conflict. I want everyone to get along. I'm just like, so I've been in this freeze response of like, just ignore it, just play dead basically to emotions and just stay happy. So she said, if you're moving into a fight or flight now through, I was like, well, that makes sense, because I'm feeling more emotions that I've not felt before.
Yeah. Just do this for me. Just close your eyes again.
Yeah.
Right. Do you believe in your higher self or a guardian angel or angels or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you trust the most out of all of them?
My first answer is going to be Archangel Michael.
Yep, Michael's there? Okay.
Mm.
All right. Can I ask him, why is this all happening for you? I want to know why.
He said I asked for it because it's to help others through it. To understand it, I have to understand, get to that level myself to help others. Through anything that I go through is to ultimately for my greater purpose, to help others.
Can I ask him, have you learned everything that you need to learn from it?
No.
What else is there to learn from it?
He's saying how to manage myself with my emotions, because I give myself such a hard time. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I always, when I feel an uncomfortable emotion, I try to fight it because I'm trying to stay on my spiritual path. And he said, by feeling the uncomfortable emotions isn't going to stray me from my path. It's actually bringing me closer to my path.
Do you understand what he's saying there?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask him, is there anything else that he wants you to know about anything about that?
Just stop bypassing things that are meant for me on my path, because I think sometimes I am trying to be perfect. I'm going to let go of the perfectionism as well.
Can I ask Michael, does he feel like he's perfect?
He's perfect and imperfect. He's whole. He's one.
He's imperfectly perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Okay.
And he said, so am I.
Is there anything that you want to ask him? You can ask him whatever you want.
I was asking him why I always give myself a hard time when I'm moving through something quite challenging. I think it's because I'm scared I'm scared for people who followed me for a long time, like my clients and, whoever's inspired by me. If they start to see a different side of me, I'm scared that they'll reject me.
Mm-hmm. What does he have to say about that?
Well, he knows where it comes from because I was rejected as a child. So I was like, for friends and for being too much, too nice, to everything. So I think he said I'm feeling that too much in myself and I've got to feel it because I'm not too much. I'm exactly perfect for myself and for God and for him.
Yeah. Where's that rejected child part? Where is she?
She's she's like a teenager. She feels crap because her friends always used to reject her for being different.
Mm-hmm.
So being
Yeah.
different now in the present moment brings up that fear.
Yeah. Does that rejected part still want to be there?
No,
Where does she want to go?
she wants to catch up with me.
She wants to go with you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, shrink her down and put her into your heart there as
Mm-hmm.
well, okay? All right. And how's she feeling there? Because she's not rejected anymore
Yeah.
because she's got you.
Yeah. She feels good. She's happy.
Okay. She's happy? Beautiful. Nice. Is there anything? Can I ask Michael there? Um, what was the go with Pip having the miscarriage? Because that really fucking hurt her, right?
Yeah.
What what's the bigger picture to all this?
It was who helped me heal rejection.
Mm. Can I ask Michael? Was there actually a soul in the body there at that time?
Yeah. Yeah.
There was.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Where's that soul?
Around me all the time.
It's around you all the time. Okay. So what's the connection between the soul and Pip?
A lesson of rejection. The soul came in to leave me. So I felt like I was rejecting myself to help me heal the wound of rejection. Because that soul's going to come back soon, but they had to teach me that lesson of rejection.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that particular soul wants you to know?
That they love me and they choose me every day.
Mm-hmm. So how do you keep in contact with that soul?
Thought process and just meditation, nature, my flowers
Mm-hmm.
in the garden.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to ask that soul anything?
I asked about timing and they just said it's all perfect. I've got to trust. That's the next level of trust for me is timing, just next deeper layer of it's like I already know and I doubt myself. I've just got to trust the timing.
Can I ask that soul, um, did it learn anything from going through through its experience with you that it just had?
Yeah. Yeah.
What, what did
But
it learn?
those answers came quite shortly after the miscarriage, and the soul said that it wanted to feel the warmth of me being inside me, what it felt like that soul want the little girl in me is in my heart, what it felt like to be that close to my heart. And it was wonderful, they said.
Uh-huh. Can I ask that soul, has it ever had a human experience before?
Yes.
It has. Has it had one with you before?
Yeah.
Can it tell me a little bit about that? Because I don't know. What, what was that experience like?
It was pretty hard, quite traumatic.
Mm-hmm. So what was the roles there between Pip and the soul?
There's there was some karma there, I think, and it was had to be cleared before the soul comes back into this human experience.
Has it all been cleared now?
Yeah, the miscarriage cleared it. So I think it's to do with when the soul comes back at the right time, in the right place, the right date, the right time, the right everything. They're just going to live this beautiful bonded relationship.
Okay. When's the right time and the right place in them?
She knows.
Mm-hmm. Who knows? But knows.
Yeah, she's had to do work. She's got to work on herself and her health. You know, she's rejecting herself, and until she stops rejecting herself, it'll be time.
Okay. All right. So as soon as that's over, well, then the soul's going to drop in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome. Beautiful. So how does Pip fast track that then? Because she's pretty keen.
It's a health. She's got to let go of putting pressure on herself to be healthy and to lose weight and to just. She needs to get all this pressure off her because all this pressure's sat in the body, and the soul doesn't want to come into a body like that.
Okay. So what does Pip need to do then, specifically?
Let go, meditate, get out in nature more, choose herself, wake up. She just knows, and she's not doing it, and she knows what she needs to do.
Okay. So it's a matter of actually grounding it and doing it?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
She's been making some changes lately, and that's really good. But this is energetically the heaviness energetically that she has to let go of.
Where's the heaviness?
The womb space.
It's in the womb space?
Yeah.
Right. Is there any purpose for it being there now?
No.
Okay. All right. What's the best way for Pip to clear it herself?
Womb healing. I keep seeing her taking some sort of. I don't know why she's been. I've been called to take lion's mane. I don't know why. It's been
Lion's
something
mane?
that's come up for a long time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So she needs to take lion's mane.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, what can you do to heal this wound that's in the womb there?
So instantly, there's a cord, like an umbilical cord, attached to that life, that
Mm-hmm.
traumatic life with the soul.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been cut properly. So he's going to cut that now with his sword
Mm-hmm. Okay.
to break the tether. Yeah, to invite in the new umbilical cord for this life.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. And how does that feel for you?
Yeah, it's like I heard a click within the body.
Yeah. Go into the womb there and tell me, what does that feel like and look like in there now?
It's just like bright white light. I can just see it.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. I want to thank Michael. And I want to thank that little soul there. That's pretty cool. Is there anything else that they feel like they want to tell you about at this moment?
That she can never reject herself because she's just one. She knows that she's one, and why would you reject yourself when we would never reject you ever?
Beautiful. I want to thank them so much. And they're always just there. Beautiful. All right. When you're ready, you can just open your eyes and just go back to the room.
Oof.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for that.
Pleasure. It's an early Christmas present.
Yeah, it's again, it's interesting you doing that, like stuff I've not seen and heard before. Like I've had some beautiful messages come through since the miscarriage, and they were really powerful, beautiful messages, but you doing that's just pieced it together again. There's that little piece that just needed to.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's
Just
why I've
putting
been
it all together.
calling the QHHT session that I want to get booked in. I think I've been wanting to do that because I want to ask that question to my subconscious, but you've basically just done that. So thank you.
Pleasure. I'm a full-on wing it person.
No. Yeah. It makes sense. Like it makes so much sense. Like I had a client who had like, this was last year. She came and she'd had miscarriage after miscarriage. She'd had like childbirth, stillbirth, and she couldn't figure out, and she kept thinking she was a failure. And she was I just felt her so deeply. And that was even before I had the miscarriage. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, what she must be feeling. And she went to 3 past lives, and it was incredible. It was like, as in powerful. Every life she'd lost a child, or she died giving birth, or something traumatic with childbirth. And then later on last year, she texted saying she's pregnant and she's had the baby now and everything. So
it's the best, isn't it?
Yeah, it reminds me of like how powerful just that. I remember Julia saying that on level 2, one of the videos was, people think we need to have this miraculous healing to like be healed, where she said it's actually just the answers are healing. And that's why we tell our clients to listen to the recording, because the answers are healing you. They're like I feel like they're programming you to heal like your DNA and your genes and your past gene. Like I see it happening. Like how I see it is like on Twilight, where Bella's changing into a vampire, and you can see, like, when I do a body scan, that's what I see, just like going through all of the cells. And so for me, it's like the cellular change when the answers heal you. And I feel like that's what happened to her. I could feel it. And even her cycle, she said her cycle's horrendous. She said she'd like had really bad periods and stuff, and it was like just traumatic every month. She hated it. She said she hates her womb. She hates, and that's what was causing this block, was just a hate for her womb. And I never got to that stage. I wanted to, again, that victim mode came in and wanted to throw me into my body's a failure, I'm not good enough. And I just was like, I ain't listening to that, because I know it's all has purpose. And I chose to go through that. But to see it in that light, because when you asked me about the soul and I had karma, that past life we had, I just had a flash of it, and it was horrendous. It was like something to do, I couldn't save the soul. I think something like there was a war or something. I just saw like a flash of like I couldn't save the soul. So it's like I had to relive that, like I couldn't save the baby, like it was just but it was a natural process, So I feel like that was definitely holding something there. So that's cleared now. I feel it.
Awesome. It's cool, the stuff.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
The last question I want to ask you.
Yes.
Is, where do you see the future of healing going?
The future of healing is going to be the split, I think. So the future of healing is people are going to go down the medical route, which I'm fully for. I have a different view. I think that medication is God's gift to us. I honestly do. But human beings tend to get greedy on it. And the reason why I say that is because I used to be really stubborn, and my youngest girl, she had breathing problems, and man, I'll never say I went to everyone, but I went to so many natural healers, and it got to a point where nothing was working. And then I went to the children's doctor. This is after like a couple of years, and I felt so sorry for her. And within 30 minutes, he goes, I know exactly what's wrong with her. got a blood test. He was like, yep, this confirms everything that's wrong. It was like whenever she has a real bad asthma attack or something like that, where she can't actually breathe, just give her this one puff, bang. And she only needs it like once a year. And within 5 seconds, she is clear, good as gold. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been such an idiot. I've just been such a stubborn idiot. But now that's why I'm with medication. Like, some medication is just amazing. I love it. Yeah. But it depends on what the problem is. So I think that the future of healing is you can either do it yourself. It depends on what the problem is. So it's kind of up in the air, the way that I see the future of healing.
Yeah.
You can either take responsibility for yourself. The problem is that the doctors won't always have the answers. So when they don't have the answers to things, well, then they usually call it an autoimmune disease or something like that. Whereas I think if you take full responsibility for yourself and you can heal, because we have 3 different aspects to us. So we have the emotional healing, which is anxiety, depression, because they're emotions. So anxiety is always fear. It's always fear. That there's no other emotion to that. Depression is always deep, deep grief. So that's why a lot of medication doesn't work. It'll just make them feel numb, but it doesn't actually get to the cause. So then if it's just a numbing agent, well, then you're going to have to be on it for the rest of your life to numb it. Whereas if you can just get to the cause of it, well, then it doesn't need to be there anymore. But it's a little bit painful. So seeing a really good therapist or a hypnotherapist or something like that, you can get to the core really, really quickly. So that's the emotional side. And if there's too much emotions in the body, well, then the body can only hold on to things for so long, and then it starts breaking down. So that's why we say anger is okay, but if that anger turns into resentment, and then that resentment turns into bitter, well, then it's going to start eating at the organs, and that's no good. If you've got sadness in there, you're gonna have some problem around here, especially women. They'll get breast cancer or something like that because sadness is held in the heart. So it's going to affect this area somewhere. But then you also have the physical healing as well. So there might not be any emotions attached to it, but a physical healing is a physical problem. So in the future, there's going to be a hell of a lot of people with neck problems because they're walking around with their head down, looking at their phones all the time, or they're in the computer and they're kind of looking down, so their shoulders are going to be like this. So that's not emotional healing. That's an actual physical, structural healing. So that's a different kind of healing. So then you have your emotional, and then you have your physical, and then you have your spiritual healing as well. So they're the 3 different kinds of healings. That's why I like people like Louise Hay that says you have to work on all 3. To get a full proper healing, you have to work on all 3. Even your physical healing is taking lion's mane. Like I don't know why your body wants that, because I didn't have time to get into that. But if you take that, your body's it's gonna cause something in the physical there. So just take it.
Yeah,
So,
I've wanted
so
to
that's
for a
the
long,
3.
long time. Yeah, it's been coming up for me. I've probably been scared to take it because it is. I know I don't know.
It's
I
so
think
good for you.
it
Oh my
is.
God, it's
Yeah, and
amazing for you.
that's what I said. I think I started taking it in my smoothies when I first got to New Zealand because I had like a pack of cacao mixed with lion's mane. And I remember just being very super focused, and I just felt alive. Like it just was very different for me, and I'm craving it at the moment. So obviously my body is wanting it for whatever
It's screaming
reason.
at you. Yeah.
Yeah, I even
Yeah, so
Googled it
take it.
today, and I'm trying to find someone to take it and
Yeah,
buy it off them. But I was when you were talking, I thought of Louise Hay because I tell all my clients to read her book, and so with the future of healing, there's a lot of people working on the trauma now at the trauma healing. And I think, do you
that's one
believe?
part of it.
Yeah, do you? So I like how you've explained all three because I was going to ask you, the more people that heal their trauma, I wonder if there's like going to be studies or research done with like the deeper the healing of the emotional and spiritual side. I wonder how that will change, what we're actually manifesting in our body, like cancer and things like that, and the autoimmune diseases. And it's interesting because you've got, like you said, it's choosing all three. And that's one thing I've not
You
been
have to
doing
do
is
all
I
three.
need to do more physical. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
with
that's
the so what I find is with the QHHT, it's more so the spiritual side,
mm,
which if it's an emotional, it's more the spiritual side and the emotional side. But if you can heal that, if the body's holding on to it, well, then it can release it. So then the body will feel better
yeah.
because the body's always the last one in this. So I've got a great friend, and he's my physical healer. So if you've got a problem with the body structural element, um, so I always do this. Like I always say this example. So if somebody teaches themselves how to walk, and their knees are slightly in, and their feet are slightly out, they're going to have knee problems because gravity is pushing straight down on that point, and then so they're going to have internal knee problems. So by the time they're 60 or 70, they're going to need a knee reconstruction for sure. Like that's not a spiritual or an emotional problem, but they'll have really painful knees. So I'll say, well, I can't really help with that. Go and see Johnny, my mate, because he can help with that. So he can reset the structural side of the body, which is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which takes a lot of pressure off me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the Egoscue method. You've heard the Egoscue method. He taught that. He's in California, and a few of my friends teach that now as well. And it's about the alignment of the body. So they get you to do like, physical mobility movements. You can do it at home. It's simple. It's free. Doesn't cost you a lot of
Yeah.
money. You've got to keep doing it. I think that's the side that I've not been taken care of. I've been doing lots of spiritual, lots of emotional, and that's
You
why
got
I've felt the
got to
heaviness
take care of the body.
because it's
Yeah.
like my physical body's like, whoa, whoa, what's happening? I'm still here. Like my physical body's like, whoa, don't forget about
Yeah.
me. So that's where
Yeah.
like craving the lion's mane, which is a physical thing, the craving to get out in nature. When you said about getting into a forest, like there's lots of bush out here in New Zealand, like where I've
Mm.
not even been to yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key for me is that just that shift in the physical side because you become lazy. If you told me to go
Yeah.
meditate for the next month every day, I easily do that. But if you told me to go work out every day for the next month, I'd be like, oh. But then,
That's right.
yeah, our chat today, I've gone like, well,
That's
why would I not? Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
missing piece. That's the missing
yeah,
piece there. Yeah. So your your structure is all about the way that you walk, that we
mm,
throw, and how we sit. It's our posture. Like you
mm,
people, like look at people's posture, and it's disgusting. It is so bad. Where like in the future, like a lot of diseases are actually going to come because we're sitting down so often. Human beings aren't designed. Our body isn't designed to sit down all the time. So a hell of a lot of diseases are coming from that. And I'm just listening to I'm just studying gene mutations and things like that, and how a gene mutation in the body, because that's a physical thing, and the ripple effect of a gene mutation, which is just amazing. So that's a physical thing. You you couldn't see a hypnotherapist about that. Your higher self would probably not know that you've got a gene mutation, which is really interesting because this is where I kind of, you know, people say that your higher self knows everything, but I don't 100% believe that. Because your body is your body. Your body knows, your higher self knows all the spiritual, and it knows the bigger, and it knows the past life, and it knows your soul mission and things like that. But I'm not 100% convinced that it knows everything about the body. I don't even think that your body knows everything about the body, because it's such a massive universe in there. That's where we need some help, you know? Like, go and get like, I'm just looking at it today. Hang on, because I'm going to get one, and it's give me a sec, because it was so interesting. It's a genetic methylation test. I just put the podcast up on my Facebook page on this guy, and he is amazing. He's a human biologist. Oh my God. And he'll just rattle off all these different things in the podcast. And oh my God, it just makes so much sense to me. But that's a physical thing. Like I'm very aware of myself. I'm very aware of my body, my spiritual, my emotions. Yeah. But my genetic makeup, I have no idea. I wouldn't even be able to tap into that.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think for a long time, QHHT is phenomenal, but I think there's a lot of pressure on me to, like you said, QHHT is going to help the client in whatever way it's meant to, but there's a lot of other layers. So for me, I'd put all the pressure on myself. Like, I need this client needs to heal everything in this session. It's like, no. Like a lot of the time the client subconscious will say they know they need to get out walking, that they've become lazy. They're not doing They're not meditating. They want to, and they should do, but the should needs to be banned out of their vocabulary. And it's interesting because you think like the miraculous healing, like, the body scan, definitely they say like, well, this is happening, the back's aching because they're not setting up, they're not stretching. And I agree with you as well, is like, for so long I put this pressure on, like, this QHHT session needs to heal them completely. And when I started to let go of that, it was the clients then started to realize the session actually spurred them on to make their own conscious decisions of going to the gym, going for walks, boxing, going into nature, and that's more important to me than ever, because the subconscious is like telling them, like, listen, you need to do this and this and this. Yeah. So that's interesting to hear that from you as well. Like you said, it's there's so many layers to it. And like, again, Louise Hay, she's incredible. That's
why she's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because she says we're just part of the journey. We're not the be all and end all. It could be possible. Yeah. But it might not be as well. So it just depends. Yeah. But I'm the first one to admit that,
Yeah.
Like, all I promise my clients, I only make them one promise. I say, I can't promise that you're going to get healing, or you're going to do this, or you're going to even get what you want out of the session. But I promise you that I'll just do my best, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Whereas that takes a lot of pressure off the facilitator as well. Because
that's what I felt.
If the facilitator is just doing your best, yeah, and just sticking to what Dolores says, yep, and sticking to the structure of the session.
My sessions have been so much better for me since I let that pressure off myself. Because some clients have left the session. They've said, you know what, Pip, can I do more work with you around this, or they'll can you be my accountability partner? And I'll like, yeah, sure. Send me a message when you're out walking. I love that stuff. But Louise Hay, I love her because my husband's best friend actually trained Louise Hay when she was alive, so she knew the Peter Egoscue method. Yeah. And she used to work out. She had a personal trainer who was my husband's best friend. He's up in Napa, California now. It was funny because I was like, Louise, hey, you used to work. He said, yeah, I used to be a PT, and he used to fly down to San Diego to train him and stuff. But I remember, like, she knew the Egoscue method, which is so simple. Like, you can probably Google it. It's pretty simple. It's Peter Egoscue. He designed these body movements which you can do at home. You don't need any equipment, and you can just do it yourself, and it's to help your body get into alignment. Yeah. And I think that there's that emphasis around pressure, isn't there? Pressure to do like for me, it's like I'm a get up every day and choose the day, where I can't think if I'm going to go to the gym next Wednesday or go for a walk next Thursday. I just know, okay, when I wake up, do I feel like the gym today? Do I feel like a walk today? Or, I have a personal training session twice a week. So that's obviously booked in the diary. But when you take the pressure off yourself, I feel like my life flows easier. And I don't have to like you're doing the 8-week challenge, which I like things like that because you get stuck in it and you get accountability. And that's been the missing piece for me, is that triangle's been empty here. So it's been like one piece emotional, spiritual. Yeah. So that's been a big eye opener for me today. So that's great. So thanks for the insight.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Is there anything else on your heart today that you want to share with the listeners?
No, I've got a session coming up pretty soon, so that'll be fun. Cool. Who knows? Who knows where they're going to go? I
love when you say that. Who knows?
That's the fun part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun.
As always, John, I love talking to you. I really, really appreciate the 2 little beautiful sessions we did. Yeah, I needed that today for sure. Pleasure. Obviously. Yeah. Thanks so much.
That made me so happy. Just doing it, like I love just doing it.
And it's so simple and quick. Yeah.
It's so simple and quick, as long as people have got an open mind, and as long as people aren't fighting me. Yeah, as long as they're just allowing. Yeah, it's so simple and so quick. Yeah. And you can feel so much better after it and get so much more clarity about things.
Yeah. Well, I know you're on the Gold Coast, so anyone who's listening who is local to John, he's obviously in the Gold Coast if you want a session with him. But I know you do a lot of online stuff, so check him out on Facebook. And do you do a lot of Instagram? Are you mostly on Facebook, aren't you?
Yeah, just on Facebook. I'm not really an Instagram person.
Yeah.
But I've got a few things on there, I think, from a while ago.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Right. Thanks so much for your time today.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, guys. I know it was quite heavy in moments, and you got to listen to some of my authentic higher self, which is interesting because you never know where these interviews are going to go. And today was beautiful, and I obviously needed it. So just if you've been listening and anything resonates with you, just send me a message. Got any questions, send them over. If you could leave me a 5-star review, that would be awesome, because it gets people to know this podcast. It grows, it reaches more people, and that's my goal. So wherever you are in the world, I'm sending all my love from New Zealand, and we'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.